Hi, my name is Lauren Laldarete, and today I'm going to be talking about Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie was born on November 25th, 1835. He's best known as an industrialist and a philanthropist. If you don't know what a philanthropist is, they basically generously give their money to organizations such as like churches, schools, and libraries, and just a lot of other organizations. Anywho, Andrew Carnegie and his family actually moved here from Scotland. So his dad, William, and his mom, Margaret, and his brother, Thomas, all came to America because they wanted to have a better economic, economic opportunity. And what better way to do that than here in America, which I thought was pretty cool. His first job was as a bobbin boy, only earning $1.20 at a cotton factory, which is pretty crazy. People say that he was such an ambitious and hard worker. He went on like a lot of jobs. Like as he just got older, he was a messenger in a telegraph office, and he was a secretary and another telegraph operator for the superintendent of the Pittsburgh Division of Pennsylvania Railroads. He got so good at this, he was able to get a job as a superintendent there in Pennsylvania. Like he did so good that he succeeded his boss as a railroad division superintendent. And while in this position, he made a lot of profits and investments in a variety of businesses, including like coal, iron, oil, and a bunch of other companies, and a manufacturer of railroad sleeping cars. You should check out those pictures because they're really awesome. I wish I could show y'all, but you know. Anywho, after leaving this post with the railroads in 1865, Carnegie continued his assets in the business world with the U.S. railroad industry. Sorry. When entering a period of rapid growth, he expanded his railroad and investment. So like he was a smart businessman. Like he was trying to get into multiple things, just not one thing. So I thought that was really awesome. He founded like a bunch of stuff as like the iron bridges building company. Like if you don't know, like the Keystone Company, the Keystone Bridges Company, and a telegraph firm often used his connections to win inter-sign contracts. By this time, like he was already like in his early 30s, and he was like a very wealthy man. Like he had so much money, which is so crazy. And actually during that time, his mom had passed away, and he lived with her her whole life until she died. And she died she died in the year of 1886, and he actually got married to this lady named Louisa Lewis. I think that's her name, sorry. And they actually had a daughter, and her name was Margaret. They lived in their mansion in Manhattan. They spent their summers in Scotland. They owned a castle, guys. Like I seen the castle, and it was huge, like super big. Had a bunch of acres. They had like 20,000 acres, like a lot of land, a big old castle. Like that little girl was living like a princess. That's on period. And yeah, I just thought that was pretty crazy how he went from like making $1.20 like to $2 to $4 to like being a billionaire. Like that is just ridiculous. And actually during this time, in 1889, he wrote this thing called The Gospel of Wealth, in which he stated that the rich have a moral of obligation to distribute their money in a way that promotes the welfare and the happiness of the common man. So I thought that's awesome because like he was such a giving man. Like he was willing to give his money, which says a lot about somebody, you know. And actually in 1901, the banker, as y'all know him, J.P. Morgan, purchased the Carnegie Steel Company for $48 million, making Andrew Carnegie one of the richest men. Crazy. In the same year, Morgan merged the Carnegie Steel with a group of other steel businesses to form the U.S. Steel with a group of other business steel companies, which is pretty cool. So that made it like one of the biggest like steel companies ever. So like that's awesome. Like how it went from like a little company to being like the biggest one. Like that's crazy. Sorry. And eventually, like he gave his money away because he was already retired. He was out of the business, and all that. So, he eventually gave away 30. Wait, I don't want to pronounce this wrong. 30 or 3 million flat 350 million 350 yeah $3,050 $350 million away because like he believed in like philanthropy. Like he was it. Like he established more than 2,500 public libraries around the globe, donating more than 7,600 organs to churches worldwide, and a bunch of them still exist today. And he dedicated a bunch to research, like in science, education, world peace, and other causes. Like among his gift was 1.1 million required for the land and the construction cost of Carnegie Hall. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. And the legendary New York City concert viewing that opened in 1891, like that's just crazy. Like he spent all that money, like, and it's so beautiful still to this day. You can even go see it. Like it's just so crazy. And if you look at the Carnegie the Institute for Science and Carnegie Mellon University and the Carnegie Foundations were all found thanks to his financial gifts. So like thanks to like all the money he poured in, like a bunch of these places are still open today. They're still thriving. They're still bringing people in, like to become like testing science out. Churches are still open. Like that's so awesome. And speaking of churches, Andrew Carnegie was actually a Presbyterian, I believe. Yeah. So I thought that was cool because he believed in God. So that's awesome. Godly man. And Andrew Carnegie died of bronchopneumonia at the age of 83 on on August 11th, 1919 at Shadowbrooks in his estate in Massachusetts. He was buried at Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in North Tarrytown, New York. So I really enjoyed researching him. He was such an interesting man, and I think it's so awesome like how all the money that he gave like rebuild all these buildings, and they're still here today. So I thought that was so awesome. Thank you.